Ha ha ha. Let us get into it. Now, I am Simply Logic. And this is What If Deku Was a Quinx Part 2. Now, today we're getting into Deku's relationship with Kaneki and a whole lot of interesting bullcrap. So let's just, start it. So, basically, our story continues off with basically Deku and his 18th birthday. All Might asks me if he wanted to be a hero, which Deku's like, nah, I'm good. Telling All Might that if he were to ever be, well, he wouldn't really, climb the ranks as a hero, and I would rather stay out of the public eye. As basically, All Might's like, huh. And he's like, alright. As basically, he'll just tap Deku on the shoulder, and he's like, alright, Toshinori, we have some things to talk about. As a young Toshinori would look over, and she'd be like, right, as she would run out the door, and she would go with, basically her father. Now, Deku, he's basically, Inko was looking at Deku, and she's like, that's all you wanted to be as a kid. Which Deku's like, I understand my situation now, Mom. And I don't like when people stare at me, as he starts to touch his little, basically, neck choker. And he's like, I'm gonna, go to college and get basically a real job. The world of, fighting isn't for me. And she's like, huh, that's a waste. And she's like, I support your, basic decision, son, as Deku would get into a college. Now, hold on, guys, I have to pause this real quick. Kami, I'm pretty sure the school that Kaneki went to was Kami or something, because it says Kami with an extra I, but I don't know. But yeah, Deku gets into Kami College, being 1 year younger than Kaneki. Now, in this time, Kaneki's already been, transformed into a ghoul by that little implant surgery. So, yeah. Basically, Kaneki hasn't went to school, as one day Deku, he's walking down an alleyway, and basically he would see, or he would catch a whiff of blood. And he would also hear screaming, as he would look down the alleyway. And his other eye, one of his eyes, somewhat transforming into its ghoul, basically its ghoul appearance. With Kaneki, basically Deku's like, huh, I know I shouldn't do this, I can get in a lot of trouble if I get caught. As, he just grabs his collar, and he starts to, move it around, trying to fix his tie. As he walks down the alleyway, because he is walking home from, college, or back to his dorm apartment that All Might bought for him, because he is in a different ward. He had to leave the ward to get into this college. This is a really good college, basically. So basically, after, walking down the alleyway, he would see Kaneki on the floor, as there's this ghoul, basically, with his Kagane. Okay, I forgot what it was for a second. He sees a ghoul with his Kagane out. This guy obviously being, hold on. So, I'm just gonna say this is some random ghoul. So basically, this random ghoul is basically threatening Kaneki with his, I have to pause it. I just forgot what the name of it was. With his Kagane out, which I'm just gonna say it's a Bakaku or Bikaku, or I'm gonna say it's a Rinkaku. Yeah, it's a Rinkaku. I don't really know, but yeah. Basically, our boy Deku's like, huh. As he looks over towards the dead body, and he somewhat gets intimidated. As he's like, okay. As basically this guy's like, huh? That smell, what are you even? As he's like, you don't smell like a ghoul, but you don't smell like a human. As he's like, whatever. As basically this ghoul would rush at Deku. Basically, Deku's somewhat dodging his punches, as the ghoul would, launch his Kagane at Deku. With basically Deku jumping back and getting into a battle stance. I would say like a boxing type stance. That's like the normal fighting style that I go with in all of my what ifs. Now, basically, the ghoul is like, huh. As basically Deku would jump forward, throwing a punch into his gut. Which, Deku, he wasn't really holding back with his punch. Because today is the day, he got a little bit of that human meat. Like I said in my last video, I think I said that every 5 to 9 months, he has to eat human meat. So, yeah. So, when Deku punched this ghoul, basically Deku's arm launched straight through the ghoul's stomach, as the ghoul is basically coughing up blood. Now Kaneki's like, whoa, basically just freaking out. But Deku's just, standing there shocked. And he's like, shit. As he's normally used to basically his strength being somewhat, held back from the liquid, basically the liquid version of the gas I was talking about in my last video being pumped into him. And also the non-contact with human meat for months. So he's basically surprised as he would, throw the guy up against a wall. As Deku's like, shit. As he would take off his jacket that has blood on it, and he would basically wrap it up in a ball. As he's like, you. As he looks over to Kaneki, and then Deku's shocked. He's like, what? I have to pause it. With Deku being somewhat surprised. He's basically like, you're like me, basically, because Kaneki does, have his eye, his eye thing is twitching, because he has been turned into a ghoul, and he is starving. So Kaneki would basically get up and run past Deku, with Deku basically stunned as he's like, well, wait, and Kaneki runs out. Now, Deku would lose track of Kaneki as he's like, yeah, I should get home, before this blood soaks through the coat, as he would start to walk towards his apartment. He would get there, he would put the coat in basically a bathtub, and he would basically start to call All Might. As basically All Might answers is he's like, what is it, young Midoriya? As Midoriya freezes, he's like, oh, shit. And he's just thinking to himself, he's like, oh, nothing. I just wanted to see if Toshinari got to, UA. As All Might's like, yeah, she did, and she even broke my record. As Deku's like, that's cool. As they continue a conversation with Deku hanging up. So Deku starts to, breathe in as he breathes out, and he leaves his apartment, and he just takes a stroll around the street at night. Now, basically, I'm going to have to pause it here again because I have something to do. So, yeah. Now, basically, Deku, after taking his walk, he would go back into his home, lay down, go to sleep, and yeah. Now, basically, he would basically go to the cafe as he would see Kaneki there. With Kaneki looking at Deku, and he's basically, he's basically intimidated. Because Kaneki doesn't know that Deku's not like some super bad guy. Because, I would be pretty freaked out if I just watched someone punch a hole through another person and possibly kill them, which that ghoul isn't dead. They are important to the story, which that's why I was calling them random, but I thought of a way that they can be important to the story, so their name would be, basically held back or withdrawn for a while. So, yeah, Kaneki is basically, freaking out, as basically the old man, I forgot his name already, he would look towards, the person who owns Onteku or something, so he would look towards Deku, saying, oh, how, basically, it's basically a good day outside. A good day, my good sir, basically. You know how old people are. With Deku taking his hand. Now, basically, Onteku would offer him some coffee, and he would say, Kaneki, make some for this, young man here. With Kaneki, trying his best to make coffee, as he would give it to Deku. Now, Deku would drink it, and he would say that it doesn't taste, or it doesn't really have a taste. With Kaneki basically saying, sorry, basically. Which Deku's like, yeah, I can tell it's your first time making coffee. As he would look up to Deku, and, not Deku, sorry, he would look up to Kaneki, and he's just, looking at him. But Kaneki just, he's sweating. When he's like, Kaneki, was it? Because he did hear the manager say Kaneki. He would say, you want to have a talk after you're done with your work here. With basically Toga walking up, and she's like, sorry, he has something to do, looking down at Deku with her intimidating eyes. With Deku just looking up, as he's like, huh. Standing up, he would, pop his back, and he's like, okay, well, I hope you have a nice day then, and I hope to get into contact with you one day, Kaneki. As Deku would walk out of the store, and he would, give a salute as he would leave. I have to pause it again, because I am cooking a burger right now, so I have to, yeah. But, yeah, after Kaneki after Deku saluted Kaneki goodbye, Kaneki basically started breathing heavily after he left. Now, basically, Toga, sorry, it's just confusing. Toga is like, that guy? And it's Kaneki's like, yeah, he's that one guy who basically, pierced that or killed that one ghoul, which he thinks that ghoul is dead. He doesn't know anything about ghoul biology. Remember, he's, he just became a ghoul. I would say like this happened a week before. I would say like this happened a week before Kaneki joined on Teku. So yeah, like no, like Deku basically shoving his arm through that ghoul's stomach. That happened a week before Kaneki worked on Teku. So yeah. Now basically Deku, like he just doesn't know what to do. Like he thinks that guy, or that Kaneki is a half human. He was born half human like him. So yeah, Deku, he feels like he has someone he can relate to now. And, he fell for that. He has something to do, basically, with her thing. But, So, as Deku's walking down the street, he's approached by two men in white coats with briefcases, with them stopping in front of him. Now, they're like, "Excuse me, sir. Do you happen to be, basically, would you happen to be Izuku Midoriya?" As Deku would look up to them, and he's like, "Fuck doves." As he's like, "Yeah, that is me. I'm Izuku Midoriya." With basically the special investigator, they're both special investigators. Actually, I would say that one of them is a special investigator, with the other one being like a trainee. So, you already know that this special investigator is A, and the other special investigator is just going to be some random person. I'm just going to say that is... Let me pause it. So, actually, I'm going to say that one of them is A, and the other one is... hold on. So, basically... One of the special investigators, basically the special investigator being A, and the other, his partner being Juzo. So Juzo was like, "Oh, you're half human, right?" As Juzo would basically wrap his arm around Deku, with Deku basically being, basically on guard. As basically A's like, basically, the CCG has some things that we need to talk about. As basically they would grab Deku and they would start walking him towards I would say like a car. It's like a sort of van. As Deku is sitting there, as basically I would say that Toga would see that the CCG are taking him away, which he's like, I guess your problem has been dealt with, Kaneki. With Kaneki being like, as he would see them, he's like, who are they, basically? So Deku is brought to the CCG organization, and he would be sat in a room. So, basically, as Deku sits there, I'm gonna say that, hold on. So, basically, Special Investigator Mato would walk in. He's basically that old dude who killed, that little girl's parents and then tried to kill her. So, he would walk in. As he would sit in front of Kaneki, and he's like, alright, freak. So, let me just tell you something before we begin this. As basically he would grab Kaneki's face, he would grab Deku's face, slamming it against the table, as he'd be like, "I really hate the fact that you disgusting piece of trash, play or basically pretend like you're human when you're not," as he starts to push Deku's face into the table, and he broke Deku's nose, with Deku grabbing his hand and throwing it off of him. Now Deku's like, "What the fuck?" As basically Mato, he would basically bring out his quinx, throwing it against Deku's neck. Yeah, so Mato's not playing. Now Mato's like, "Alright, you freak. So, I'm just gonna get this straight." As Deku, he basically just flinches. Because he's only seen this Kagane one time before. And he's like, "You." And this Kagane happens to be his father's. Which, Mato just starts to laugh. He's like, "Alright." As basically Deku, he blacks out for a second there. As he jumps off from the table, and he throws a fist or punches Mato in the face, sending him flying to the floor. As when he finally reawakens, he's being slammed against a table by two CCG agents, as he's brought to a cell and he sat there, All Might being called, and that is where we'll be ending it off here. I will be continuing it on some other time, but the like goal is 100 likes, and I will get out a part 2. Actually, no. I'm going to be doing a challenge. I'm going to see if I can complete this series without doing any other series. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. My name is What If Logic, and I am out.